The sound was clear earlier, but now it's not very clear.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So the Universal Rights Association, once again, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Attila Da. I would like to welcome you to another URA Talk, URA Talk program hosted by Universal Rights Association, which is a civil society organization dedicated to promoting and protecting human rights, the rule of law, democracy, peace, and sustainable development prescribed in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. URA focuses on creating awareness and advise solutions on social issues, freedom, injustices, and human rights abuses which affect the daily life of people. So today's topic is contribution of refugees and migrants to South Africa. We have very important guests today, but before I give them the floor, I would like to make short, maybe explanations that as a foundation for us to understand the concept and the topic well. So today is 20 June, and it's the World Refugee Day declared by United Nations. 20 June World Refugee Day annually to honor, that celebrated annually to honor the courage, strength, and determination of women, men, and children who have forced to flee their homes under threats of persecution, conflict, and violence. On this day, the international community seeks to draw attention to the plight of refugees and celebrate their courage and resilience. So when we say refugee, let us understand who is refugee and what's the meaning of refugee. I will quote from United Nations 1951 Refugee Convention, and according to United Nations 1951 Refugee Convention, a refugee is someone who fled his or her home and country owing to a well-founded fear of persecution because of his or her race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion. Many refugees are in exile to escape the effects of natural or human-made, man-made disasters. So when some say when some say refugee, that we right now know what does it mean. Now let's have a look at the meaning of migrant. And according to International Organization for Migrants, IOM, migrant is a person who moves away from his or her place of usual residence, whether within a country or across an international border, temporarily or permanently, and for a variety of reasons. So we can maybe say every refugee is also a migrant. And according to UNHCR, at least 70.8 million people around the world have been forced to flee their homes. Among them are 26 million refugees, and over half of whom are under the age of 18. So quite a young group. There are also millions of stateless people, or the people that whose nationality declared and so forth. But in a world where one person is forcibly displaced roughly every 2 seconds as a result of conflict of persecution. This is what UNHCR says. One person in every 2 seconds are forcibly displaced. And according to World Health Organization, as you know nowadays, it's became quite much more famous. More people are on the moon now than ever. Of course, this data are before the pandemic. And there are an estimated 1 billion migrants in the world today, of whom 258 million are international migrants, which means that 1 in 7 of the world's population are migrants. And also, again, according to UNHCR, 67% of refugees come from 5 countries in the world, which are Syria, Afghanistan, South Sudan, Myanmar, and Somalia. This is globally. And according to UNHCR, again, as in 2018, top refugee hosting countries in the world are number 1 is Turkey, as 3.7 million, according to UNHCR in 2018. These are 2018 data. Turkey comes number 1, 3.7 million people, refugees. Pakistan comes 7, 1.4 million. Uganda comes 3rd, 1.2 million. Sudan and Germany is 1.1 million. They are hosting refugees in the world. Again, according to UNHCR, there were 2.3 million asylum seekers in the world in 2018, and 341,000 of them new asylum seeker application done by only people of Venezuela in 2018, again only. When we come to South Africa, unfortunately, we don't have that much updated data, but we still have some data that we couldn't get hold of. And we've searched quite some time, but we couldn't get hold of. But according to Statistics South Africa, South Africa's 2011 census, 2.2 million foreigners, foreign-born people, live in South Africa. And again, according to United Nations Population Division report, total foreign-borns in 2017, as in 2017, total foreign-born, number of foreign-born people is 4,036,000 in South Africa. So more than 4 million, according to the United Nations Population Division in 2017, that lives in South Africa, rather refugees or migrants. Refugees and migrants are being blamed for some negativities, as you know, in the world, and that damages social cohesion and global peace that we believe. We also have that kind of narration. I mean, we are lucky when we come to South Africa, by the way. We don't have a president who talks about building wall to our borders, or we don't have that kind of, narration that which we hear in some countries around the world. But we still have some effects of that narration in our country, in South Africa, which also claims refugees for some negativities. But is it really the case? Are these narrations scientific, and are they also accurate? We will talk about scientific reports and outcomes from very important reports done by distinguished international organizations. I'll just take 2 minutes of yours, because these are scientific data which has been done by very prominent organizations that have made quite a bit of research on it. But to contribute to social cohesion, peace and harmony on the World Refugee Day, we will take a look at migrants and refugees from a different point of view, from a different angle, that this concept from a different angle, and talk about their practical contributions in real life to our society in South Africa. And our guests are Chairman of African Diaspora Forum, ADF, Dr. Elgoni, and Chairman of ICSA, Dr. Abbasi. They are both medical doctors, and the manager at Scalabrini, the Hilton Beck. But before I give them the microphone to our guests, I would like to make an introduction, and I mean, just a little numbers that I will give you from these scientific reports, figures from these researchers about South Africa and South African economy. I studied, as I said, quite some time to prepare these figures from several sources. But I will quote from two different reports. One of them is the OECD Development Center, the International Labour Organization, and European Commission have worked together and prepared a report. And they published the report in 2018 from OECD publications. Its name is How Immigrants Contribute to South Africa's Economy. It's a 150 pages report. I've read almost all of it, and then it gives quite a nice details about South African economy, as well as the effect and contribution of migrants to the economy. And I advise all our viewers, all our listeners right now to take a look at this report. I have full name and source of this report and the citation of the report as well. If anyone interested, I can send it to them. It's free. You can get hold of it via internet, and then you can read it. But according to this report, under the title of Public Finance on the page 16, it says, and I quote, migrants also have a positive net impact on the South African on the government's fiscal balance. This is due to the fact that they tend to pay more in taxes, especially in income and value-added taxes. In 2018, the per capita net fiscal contribution of migrants ranged between 17% under the average cost scenario and 27% under the marginal cost scenario. Native-born individuals, on the other hand, contributed to both scenarios -8%. On the page 33, under the title of Migrant Labor Raises Income Per Capita, it says, and I quote, based only on the sectoral distribution of foreign-born employment, the contribution of migrant workers to South African GDP is 9.1%, would likely be just below their share in employment, which is 9.2% in 2011. And lastly, on page 24, under the title of Migrants' Significant Economic Contribution in South Africa, it says, and I quote, the findings of this report suggest that immigrant workers have a significant contribution to South African economy. Immigrants are well integrated into the labor market in terms of employment and unemployment rates, and in general do not seem to displace native-born workers. So that's the findings. Of course, it has a side, or the effect of the migrant side. Also, it has a side, positive side of the government side, and the whole government side, that they also give them an opportunity to integrate it into the labor and the economy, of course. And lastly, the second and last report, and I won't speak anymore. And according to the World Bank report, which published in 2018 again, called Mixed Migration, Forced Displacement and Job Outcomes in South Africa, published by the World Bank Group Publications. I can give also whole citation of reports if anyone wants to. The report says, and I quote, our quantitative analysis in the impact of immigration on local jobs in South Africa finds that one immigrant worker generates approximately 2 jobs for South Africans during the period that they analyzed between 1996 and 2011. So these are the scientific outcomes and facts of research done by prominent international organizations, and this is what the report and the research says. So today we have, as I said, 3 distinguished guests. I would like to welcome them all on your behalf, 2 medical doctors and 1 professional. I would like to ask them to introduce themselves and their organizations that they represent, and ask them to give us real practical, these were the economic numbers, but practical examples from a daily life, that what they or how they contribute to South Africa. So I would like to start from Dr. Egoni, Chairman of ADF. Can you please introduce yourself and your organization, sir?
Thank you very much. This is really a very good opportunity to have this talk. I am Dr. Abdul Karim Jibril Al-Groni. I am a Sudanese South African, and I am the chairman of the African Diaspora Forum. The African Diaspora Forum was established in 2008 after the xenophobic attacks. Before that, there were about 33 African migrant communities working, everyone alone. But at that time, they felt they need to have one organization to represent them, and this is when it was born. And our offices are in the center of Johannesburg, but we have other sentinel sites in Cape Town and Bloemfontein and Durban. But most of the work is in Gauteng.
Yes, Dr. Elgoni, as far as I can follow the work of African Diaspora Forum, I know especially maybe during one of the hardest time that our country, South Africa, passed through during this pandemic, especially during lockdown. Maybe millions of people couldn't go to work, especially the working class and the underprivileged class, that they had quite a bit of effect of this lockdown, especially financially. And we've been hearing the work that African Diaspora Forum has done, especially during this lockdown time. Can you please give us some facts, and if you have some numbers? I know that you've done tremendous effort in terms of food distribution or other aid activities during the lockdown. Can you please give us some details about that?
Yes, actually, most of the work that we do usually before the lockdown is mainly related to human rights issues. The asylum seekers, people who have been, their rights were not observed, problems with police, problems with local government, problems with home affairs. But during the lockdown, we were just taken by surprise, and we never thought the problem is as big as it is. There was an interview that I did for 702, and we said we are trying our best to do something in Gauteng, and we have distributed a few thousand food hampers to some of the families in central Johannesburg. Believe it or not, for the coming week, I received more than almost 4,000 WhatsApp calls and messages because I gave my number. All of them are saying, we have lost our jobs because of the lockdown. We are in a very difficult situation. I am afraid that I will be sent out of my home. I haven't had a meal for 2 days. We are starving, and we had to do something. The first thing that happened is that many of the small enterprises, those are the shops, they came together and provided us with tons of perishable food items that we put into parcels, and we started distributing in different parts of, mainly we were focusing on Gauteng at that time at the beginning of it. Because as you may remember, the minister said the social support that the ministry is going to give will only be given to people who have IDs. And the majority of the asylum seekers and refugees, they don't have IDs. So they were not eligible to get that food. So we had to find an alternative way, and our members came to our rescue. There are also other organizations who have helped us. There is an organization called Africa20. It has given us a lot of support, and I can tell you there is no township in Gauteng where we have not distributed something. We get the names, the addresses, and we have licenses to move around, and we go and distribute. So there is Islamic Relief gave us also a lot of support. There are other donors who gave us, and we contributed personally. Different leaders, different migrant leaders also contributed. Practically, we did a lot of work. Actually, it was unbelievable. I never thought we have that muscle, but I was really feeling very proud of what the leaders have done.
Doctor, can you tell me, when you go to, you said that you go to townships. When you go to townships, do you only consider refugees and asylum seekers, or you did make your distribution to anybody who is in need?
Yes, actually what we do is usually we contact the counselor of the area. And there are always some sort of community organizations there. So we have members there who will tell us we know some houses who are in need. We don't differentiate between migrant or non-migrant. So the area will prepare for, we tell them, for example, we have 2,000 parcels. Please prepare only 2,000 families. We have 250. Please prepare only 250. And usually the number is bigger than what we are taking with us, but we don't differentiate between migrants and non-migrants. We give them all. We give them all. Sometimes we distribute a number of items. So it will be meal, sugar, beans, and a lot of items. Sometimes we only distribute meal, for example, 10 kg of meal only to everyone. So, but we don't differentiate. You see here, we are, one of the facts that the coronavirus have shown us is that there is no difference between a migrant and a South African. We are all in this together. It affects us both. We can both infect each other. We can both protect each other. If my neighbor is hungry, I will also be hungry. So it showed us that we are one. And I hope this will also impact on the social cohesion activities that we will be doing, and will reduce the what we call the Afrophobic attacks that have happened before.
Okay, so what you say that to identify people, you go to the local official authority and to ask that who is in need, and then whatever names that they give you, you go and distribute to them, and you don't make any differentiation between South African, local, or non-local, that whoever is in need, that you do distribute. But most of the, how you said the spaza shops. So are these the spaza shops that you mainly, who in fact that supported for you to raise these funds or collect these foods to distribute, for distribution? Were they mainly locals, South African citizens, or were they the migrants who did their part and then give this food for you to distribute?
You see, as you remember at the beginning of the lockdown, the minister said only spaza shop owned by South Africans are allowed to work. And then we created a lot of fuss, and then she overturned that and allowed the migrant spaza shops to work. Actually, those are the migrant-owned spaza shops that have provided us with those tons of perishable materials that we have distributed.
Okay, Doctor,
so
can
they
you...
are mainly the Somalis, the Bangladeshis, the Pakistanis. There is a lot of Ethiopians who have given us our member communities. They came together and everyone provided. It was really a huge amount. I mean, we really appreciated the work that they have done. And actually, we have a lot of testimonies from local government officials, from councillors, from community members, community leaders who have done this. Although we tried our best during this distribution not to take photographs or do video clips and this, because we wanted to keep people's dignity. But some wanted to do it. 702, SABC, and ETV sometimes attended some of those distribution opportunities, and they did some recording for those activities.
Thank you so much. And lastly, Doctor, do you know the numbers of how many people that benefited from this? And can you please identify the areas that you distributed, maybe some of them if you don't have all in mind?
No. They are into the tens of thousands.
Okay.
We are creating a tally of it. We created an Excel sheet where all those families were put in, how many members in every family, those we have given their telephone numbers, contact, the addresses. So we have a tally of this, but to be very frank with you, we haven't tried to get the total, but it will be in tens of thousands. In Gauteng, we also distributed in Bloemfontein. We also did some distribution in Cape Town and in Durban. But
Okay.
the majority of the work that we have done during this lockdown is here in Johannesburg, in Gauteng, yes, Pretoria and Johannesburg, Vereeniging and Benoni, yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you so much for your effort and for sharing these with us. I would like to come to Dr. Abbasi. I will mute you, Dr. Elgoni, and I will come to Dr. Abbasi. If you can unmute yourself, I will also help you to do that. Okay, Dr. Abbasi, you need to, yes, okay. Dr. Abbasi, can you also introduce yourself and the organization that you represent? And then as Dr. Elgoni, can you also give us some details in terms of your organization and maybe yourself's contribution to South Africa and South Africans, please?
Yeah, in the name of Almighty Allah, most gracious, most merciful, thank you for inviting me. My name is Harun. As you told the audience, I'm a medical doctor by profession. Came to South Africa in 1991, and now currently working in the public sector hospital and also in the private hospital. I'm representing Islamic Circle of Southern Africa, which we established in July 2011. The full name is the Islamic Circle of South Africa, is a non-profit grassroots outreach, dawah and social service organization. Its headquarters is in Johannesburg, South Africa. Our welfare projects are namely divided into 4 or 5 groups. The first one is our health care project, and out of that is one of our flagship program is our cataract project. So far, we have done 6,920 cataract operations on deserving patient in South Africa. If you cost it out, it's more than 100 million rands, the cost of it. And we established this project from 2005, and this ongoing project. And furthermore, we are going to increase the capacity of a mobile cataract, which will cover beyond the boundaries of Gauteng province. Currently, our project is mostly in the government sector hospital, for example, Leratang Hospital, Saboking Hospital, and in future, the Gauteng government has allowed us wherever in Gauteng province, the operating theaters are available in the hospital, we can use this for that operating theater for our project for the cataract surgeries. In addition to that, we are establishing a mobile unit of cataract project through which we are going to move forward in any hospital other than Gauteng province as well. And we are in the building process of that. Other health project is in Westbury Health Clinic, which we started in May 2018. And it's on the weekly basis free for that community. And we see around 60 to 80 patients in that. Feed the Hungry scheme, which has been running for over 3 years, and we have done a substantial amount of contribution, particularly in this COVID time, and we have distributed around 8,000 food hampers in South Africa. We have around 50 units of Islamic Circle of Southern Africa in the country, and most of the units have contributed to distribute these food hampers. And our next project is shoe and clothes scheme, already over 3-4 years, which is to distribute shoe and clothes to the needy public in South Africa. And then our next project is our youth empowerment, which has a big potential. But knowing the problems of the youth in South Africa, we have the regular programs to sort of teach them the universal values and their responsibilities, and we get them involved in our welfare projects as well. And of course, our women wing, helping us in these projects. And we have our, other than the, for example, non-Muslim people of the other faith, they can join us under the ICSA volunteers program. So we have a quite well cooperation. We get it from South African National Civic Organization, SENCO, particularly in Johannesburg and in Gauteng area. In our Cataract project, which is quite established project now, it has a contribution from the local South African organization as well, but I'll start mentioning the one of them is Bliss Chemical. You have heard the MAC powder, people, those who make MAC powder, Bliss Chemical. This is the company who is originally obviously established by a Pakistani family, and they are one of the major contribution towards our this Cataract project. In addition to that, OCAF South Africa, Islamic Medical Association South Africa, Sultan Bau Association, and there is other family, Dr. Harun Tayyib family, Habib Bank, Zurich, Forsberg branch, and Pakistan South Africa Association are also the supporter of this Cataract project and supporter of the other projects as well. So in combination, we are doing a lot of work for the community, and we think that the cohesiveness of the community is very important. And this our youth project, our youth empowerment, and make our youth to contribute in person and meet the community. We travel to the different areas. When we distribute, we meet the people, and basically trying to make a cohesiveness of the communities so that we can move forward as a good society in South Africa. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. I was going to stop you. In fact,
sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, okay. I was going to stop you. In fact, that I also did try to stop you to ask in details. I thought that I was only aware of your Cataract project, and then I didn't know all other projects that you mentioned.
I don't know if you can hear me. I can't hear you.
I can hear you very well and very clear. Do we have any problem? Hilton, can you hear me properly? You can,
yes,
right?
We have problems. We can't hear you well.
Okay. I'm sorry about that. I don't know if it's my problem, but it seems like my internet works well. But if there is anybody else who can't hear me, I apologize, but I'll do my best. I was going to, Doctor, stop you, and then was going to ask about the details of your Cataract project, but I didn't know the other projects that you had. So can you please remind us, or can you please say again that just the number of people that you, your organization, or the other organizations with your organization did cataract operation to? It's how many people, and in how many years, or what kind of a time frame that you finished these operations? And then you said the value, that what's the value of that cataract operations? Okay, it seems like we are having a little bit of difficulty in terms of the hearing each other, but if you hear me, I will get back to you, Dr. Abbasi, or otherwise I would like to come to Hilton Berg from Cape Town. Hilton, you're muted, you can unmute yourself. I know that you are also part of Scalabrini, which is please correct me, which is an organization established for refugees and migrants, but also the organization serves to locals, like basically anybody who's in need. Can you please, and especially your program, can you please introduce yourself, your organization, and in particularly those projects that you serve to both migrants or South Africans, please?
Hi, thanks, Attila. Yes, so I represent the Scalabrini Center of Cape Town. We've got a drop-in center, a walk-in center in the middle of the CBD in Cape Town, near Parliament, actually. So we've been around since 1998, and we focus mostly on foreign nationals, migrants, and refugees. We run, so I just want to read our vision quickly, because I think that sums up exactly what we do. So our vision is to foster the cultural, social, and economic integration of migrants, refugees, and South Africans into local society. We perceive migration as an opportunity and are committed to in poverty and promoting development in the Western Cape while fostering integration between the local diasporas. So yeah, that's what we do, using through about 7 different programs. The first one is our advocacy and paralegal program. Here we provide access to documentation or advice to documentation within the asylum seeker process. We provide access to government departments like UIF claims. We provide access to basics like education and health, assistance with unaccompanied minors. If people have problems with deportation and detention, we assist them in understanding that process. And then we also advocate legislatively and on policy reform. Yesterday, or not yesterday, 2 days ago, we won a good court case asylum seekers and special permit holders to be able to do. So that is quite a big court case that we won yesterday. We're really proud of that. That's the advocacy department. We've got a welfare who really support the most vulnerable of people through basic money for rent and food parcels and stuff like that. We've got an English school, which we believe, because people come into the country and a lot of the people don't have English as a first language, and to integrate it into South Africa, English is important. So we asked that. So we've got an English school which runs, and we do about 300 a term, a semester, and that's 3 times a year. So we run an Upland program, which is in partnership with the Global Education Movement, and they people, it's accredited by the South New Hampshire University in America, and they're doing an online degree, in associate or bachelor's degree, and we provide logistical and social support, want of a better term. So we will give the resources, the computer lab, we provide seminars, coaching, we provide placement for internships, and eventually professional development as well. Then we've got a women's plan. There we're trying to develop a network of women that includes mostly foreign nationals, but there are some South Africans in this network, and personal development with them, as well as doing sector training, where we teach basic child rearing, hospitality training, and then people that want to go on to develop a business, we support them in that by giving them grants. the one that works quite primarily, okay, the one that I represent or I manage is the Employment Access Program. So in this program, we are, as it says, providing access to employment. We create CVs for people, and we also provide the resources like computers for people to, and the know-how to apply for jobs. So people will come to the center. This is obviously pre-COVID, and we will help them to create the CVs, apply for jobs, make copies for them if they need to send out their CVs, send out CVs by email, and those kind of things. This is free to South Africans as well as foreign nationals. We provide job readiness training as well to South Africans and foreign nationals. And we do that because to put the different communities or nationalities into one room, some sort of integration between the different people. We also do professional development with them, which enhances job readiness. We've got a job placement service. So in this service, we're trying to do 360, and we're approaching employers and saying, come to us, and we've got a database of employees who are looking for work, and they're South African and foreign nationals, and we will link to, and if you are willing to interview them and take them on in your positions. Last year, for argument's sake, the Employment Access Program alone saw about 1,450 people coming through our doors. Of that number, about 360 were South Africans. So they're quite about a quarter of the people that came through to the Employment Access looking for work and having their CVs created and attended the training was about a quarter of what we see. The other program that really focuses on South African youth in particular is called our Unite program. And there they work in 6 schools, high schools within the Western Cape. They do youth development and a mentorship program. So they're developing youth leadership and community activism and just to create critical thinking for youth. And this is also to build social cohesion and transformation within our communities. So just statistically wise, since the Unite has been running, they've got about 630 club members, of which they've developed 73 leadership youth from that, and there are 28 peer mentors also from that group. And these are mostly South African youth because it's the same demographic as what you would find in any of the schools. And also the gender ratio split is about 60 female to 40% male in that group. Yes, so that's essentially what our organization does.
Wow, that was quite lovely in terms of numbers that you were able to give us also the exact figures that I really appreciate for that. Thank you so much, Hilton. Right now that I will make an announcement to our listeners and viewers that please do share your questions that if you have or the comments to Zoom chat or on our Facebook page. You can put as a comment, rather if it's a question or rather a comment, it doesn't matter, please do so. I will give a last round for 2 minutes to our panelists here. But before I do, I will definitely ask if Mama Makwetla, if you have anything to say, please turn your camera on. We would like to hear from you. Ms. Ilagandi, please also do turn on your video. We would like to hear from you, or you can rather type. I can see also that my friend Mielani is here. He's an economist. I'm also announcing that our other program that we are planning, that because of the economic situation, we don't know exactly where it is going globally and in our country. Mielani is a commentator as well, that maybe you remember him from SABC, that he goes on air time to time. For our next program, I also make our announcement from here that we will be talking about some details in terms of how this COVID-19 affects our economy in local and in global as well. But before we do that, I would like to ask Mama Makwetla, Angie Makwetla, she's a commissioner of South African Human Rights Commission, that Mama, if you have any comments or any questions that we are listening you, please share with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Attila, and happy World Refugee Day to everyone. Congratulations to the Universal Rights Association on a very well-organized webinar and with a very important topic. Globally, we know that the world is going through this pandemic, and what the pandemic has done is it has brought up the vulnerabilities amongst the poor people of South Africa, amongst the refugees, amongst the migrants, and it has also highlighted the courageous people that we have and that we heard about in this webinar. So, you know, I'm a very optimistic person, and I think that when we come out of this pandemic, this world will be a better place. We will know how to care for each other. We will know how to hold hands. And I like the way everyone that has been talking about relief and food parcels has kept on saying that we do not discriminate between non-nationals and South Africans. And that is the spirit that we want. That is the social cohesion that all of us are searching for. So, you know, the South African Human Rights Commission, our mandate is to promote, to protect, and to monitor the observance of human rights within the Republic of South Africa. And nowhere does it say those rights are for South Africans only. And I would like to also take this opportunity to congratulate Scalabrini on the court case that they won to make the social relief, social distress relief available to people who are non-South Africans, because we were also very concerned about that. So yeah, you know, Attila, like I always say, that when your intentions are good, the universe cooperates, and this is how the universe is bringing us together. So I would like to continue interacting with this group. We are interacting with the URA, with the Turquoise Harmony Institute. I would like to continue talking to Scalabrini, to the African Diaspora Forum, all the organizations that represent vulnerable people in this country who would otherwise go ignored if you good men and women did not go out of your way to pick them, to look for them. And I like the fact that, I don't know who said that, they are actually busy creating a database, because it's important also for us to point out to South Africans what is happening amongst the non-nationals of this country. That we are not just sitting back and expecting things to be done, we are doing things ourselves. So let's please continue to hold hands and continue showing that empathy, that humaneness that binds us together and unites us in our diversity. Thank you very much.
Commissioner, we appreciate for your blessings and for your comments. Thank you so much. By the way, that I would like to remind that the two reports that I shared, the full citation of the report on our Zoom chat group. So whoever needs also more can definitely write us on Facebook. So we will also share the full citation from Facebook as well. So we have even a question. Sorry about that. Just one moment. There it is. We have. We have comments more rather than the question, I think. That this is what I see, that it's also that supportive comment that which says that we are brothers and sisters. These borders which is a man-made borders, but at the end of the day, we are all human beings, which we also agree. Lastly, I would like to come to our panelists, but I know that Dr. Abbasi, that I ask you a question that for you to give the exact figures, if you can. I will start with you to answer, and then also to your last words in terms of today's panel. Dr. Abbasi.
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, I couldn't hear after my presentation. Just immediately, I could just see you, but I couldn't hear you. Is there any question from the audience side? If you want to ask me any question, I'm gladly here to answer.
No, I was only wondering that if you can give us, if you have, repeat us again the exact number of cataract project, how many cataract operations, and what's the value of that project?
Yeah, cataract project, the number is 6,920 so far.
Okay, and you also said the value of it, I think.
Yeah, and yeah, the value of is more than 100 million. I mean, if I mean 100 million plus maybe around 500,000 in addition to that, but just roughly around the value of that one.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. I assume that you also didn't make any discrimination in terms of national, non-national, citizen, non-citizen. It was for everybody. Am I right?
In fact, it's more of for the national, and whoever comes, we as a doctor obviously see whoever needs that one. And even all our projects are national, non-national, all the religions. They can join us, and I mentioned a few names. For example, South African National Civic Organization, SENCO, is working very closely with us, particularly in Johannesburg and Gauteng region. So we are obviously planning to involve the youth from all the section, and even the ladies from I mean all faiths and all the races together to actively actually make an effort for the cohesive society. I didn't have actually time, and maybe you don't have a time. I can elaborate more on our youth empowerment issues, because this is one of the big issue in our South African community, to develop youth which can lead us for a better South Africa. And we have many problems, and we are we have a plan to improve on that. And there are many issues in which our South African youth is facing.
Okay.
Just briefly mention, for example, the statistics show that I mean those and you are obviously a teacher, you yourself know maybe better than me, that those who get admitted in grade 1, 50% of them they don't reach to the metric. Similarly, there are 50 to 60% of the youth they are living without father, mean they have absent fathers. So no father figure to obviously tell them a united family, and the consequences of that obviously are not good. Then I mean unemployment issues, then obviously it goes with the crime and all those things. So we need to start from the bottom so that we can empower our youth to be a better leader for the future and help each other wherever it is needed.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Doctor. In fact, that I think it's another, because it's not a simple issue. We talk about our youth, we talk about our future. Maybe it's the topic of another program. Maybe we should plan on that. In fact, I was going to ask to all panelists to give their recommendations and advice, especially for refugees and migrants and the people of South Africa, to contribute more to South Africa. But you already gave, I think, that your side, that which we should carry on with the youth. Thank you so much, Doctor, for all your contribution to our program. I would like to come to Dr. Elgoni. Dr. Elgoni, if you can unmute yourself, if you have any other last comment that you would like to make. But before to do that, if you can hear me, yes, Dr. Elgoni, your last words, especially in terms of contributing to South Africa more.
Yes, thank you very much. Actually, I like the way you introduced the facts about migrants in South Africa. One of the main weaknesses is lack of concrete information. And we have signed memorandum of understanding with two universities, with the Wits University and University of South Africa, UNISA, so that we work together and do some research that can put some facts on the table. How many are in different sectors? How are they contributing? What are the main problems? The information that we have, is it just impressions or the facts? The sponsor shops, how many of those sponsor shops are owned by nationals and non-nationals? And all this information, we are working together to get some research on the table. And I like what Scalabrini is doing. Actually, definitely, I'm going to write them officially so that we work together on some of those projects, because we need to put our hands together and put facts on the table. And thank you very much for this very good seminar.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you for your contribution. And I would like to come to you, Hilton. Your last words, please unmute yourself and shoot.
Okay, so yeah, thank you also, Attila, and especially for the information that you gave at the beginning about the contribution to the economy. I think for me, as I think Dr. Elgoni said at the beginning, that the COVID doesn't distinguish between race or nationality or anything like that. And the unemployment in South Africa and globally has been affected. So from us, we want to try and continue to empower not only foreign nationals, but as much as we can, also South Africans, by helping them to find work and to give them some support in the workplace. And yeah, so I think from us, I think we just want to continue what we're doing essentially. Yeah, and yeah, I think I'll rather end it there. Thanks very much. You need to unmute yourself. You are muted. I tell you, are muted.
You know, this is a live program. These things happen. Okay, thank you so much. So we came to the end of our program. Basically, that as also the result of today's program. We, in fact, as Universal Rights Association, the main intention is that we want all everybody, in fact, that foreign-born or local, to understand that this is the country which we live in, and which means that we don't have any other or better place to go now. Maybe our children and their children will live in this beautiful country. We must love, and we must love this land and the people on it, and do our best to contribute more, give more, and make it better. We should work all together in peace and harmony, with a respect to each other and each other's rights. Before I close up, I would like to remind that this program will also be on Universal Rights Association's YouTube channel. So please go search for Universal Rights Associations on YouTube and subscribe to URA YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram at URAS Africa, and check our website on uniras.org. We want to highlight once again that refugees, asylum seekers, or migrants are also human beings as you and me. And that human being is the most valuable creation in the universe. Each and every human being has a right to live in dignity. We all have to respect to that, and we mustn't divide, but unite. We must remember that we are not in this world to have everything for us, to compete to each other, to be an enemy to each other. We rather stand in solidarity, help to each other, support each other. Until next time, take care of yourselves and take care of the others. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.